Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith, and this is a big interview. And joining us is a special guest, Rio Ferdinand. Rio, thanks for coming on the channel.
No worries, how you doing?
Yeah, good, man. It's better. Last time we had you on for about 12 seconds, I think. So it's good. It's good to. I'm sorry, I've got Joel Bayer shouting things at me there.
Subscribe to Vibe.
Subscribe to Vibe with 5. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to Rio's channel. Yeah, the link's in the description. There you go. That's Joel Bayer. You can hear. He's kissing a Premier League trophy off camera there, bizarrely. From Rio, a few questions I wanted to ask you. First of all, there's been this debate going on with United captains, with Bruno, Maguire. They've obviously been sort of swapping the armband when Maguire plays. When he starts, he's the captain. Other times it's Bruno. Both have had a little bit of stick. People saying they're not leaders, they're not captains. You obviously someone who's captain Manchester United and knows what it's like to be a leader on that pitch. When you look at these players, do you think they have got what's needed at United as captains?
It's hard. Well,
put you on the spot straight away.
First question, isn't it?
Sorry, straight in with that.
Well, I just think you've got to look at the facts, really. I think that Harry Maguire was captain of Man United, then he's not in the team. And so, listen, I think it's more about the other players in the squad will be able to tell you a bit better than me, who's not in there. Is he a good captain? Because the captain is a lot more sometimes than just on the pitch. There are captains that, because they're so great on the pitch, that the stuff off the pitch doesn't matter as much. But then when you're not playing, or you're not playing to that elite level, then you've got to make up for it somewhere else. Are you great around the training ground? Are you great individually? Are you personable? Is there a humility that comes alongside that? Can you galvanise people? Can you get the change room up, etc. at key moments? Can you have words with people or the group? And we're not in there to know or understand that part. But if you're looking just on the pitch so far, you'd have to say Harry Maguire hasn't shown yet that he is that guy, unfortunately. And now he's not in the team, it's even more harder for him. Bruno, he leads a little bit by example, because what he does out on the pitch, the amount of chances he creates, the amount of goals he scored. I saw a stat the other day, only Messi's got more goal involvement since he signed for Man United in European football.
It's ridiculous.
It's a crazy stat. Like, if you put it out there like that, so you say that he's without the armband or whatever, he's showing the way. He's leading the way with that team, and that's a leadership quality there in itself. Now, people were saying, he's waved his arms about. He's an emotional kid. I spoke to him about this, and he's really he's not happy with the way it's reported, really, because he's an emotional guy, and sometimes you need to learn how to be. I remember playing, and I remember Sir Alex Ferguson coming to me after a game and saying, Rio, you've got to stop moving your arms. When you're coming out with the ball and you're going like that, because I'm going, where are you? Where's everyone? He's going, that gives a negative feeling around the stadium. So don't do that. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? The fuck's going on? What? I just want someone to become available, move. You should be talking to them, not me. But it's true. You've got to keep the atmosphere in. You don't realise the power you have as an individual on that pitch, Old Trafford, with your mannerisms, your body language. So that's an area I think Bruno, you might have to look at. But in terms of what he's output on that pitch, man, you can't deny. He can sit there comfortably and say, I'm doing my bit.
It's amazing as well, the detail that, like, Sir Alex noticed in that. You know, we hear these things of, they're not paying attention to that sort of thing. But the great managers, the great teammates, the great players, you're just doing that, like, come on, who's showing for the ball? And he's going, that's putting a bad atmosphere in the stadium, in the newspapers, in this, that, and the other, and he sees all of that. So obviously, you'd assume Bruno's being told similar things, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just moving on, speaking of the stadium and the bigger picture at United, there's reports coming out today from ESPN that the Glazers, especially sort of Joel and Avram, who seem to be the most reluctant to sell anyway, are now thinking that they might stay another decade, try and double the value of the club, stay there even longer. What do you make of that news, that there's a chance, or a good chance, that the Glazers might stay even longer?
I just don't think the fan base will be accepting that.
Yeah.
Won't be happy. I just think that too much has gone on, too much has been let out. It's too close to a new beginning that a lot of the fans have wanted, to then go back again. And I wouldn't mind, and I think that's what the fans' minds will be. If they were getting offered a billion or 2 billion, a lot won't understand, but some kind of educated financial minds will go, well, I get that, I understand they want a bigger bit of chunk to be able to leave. But if you're getting offered, if the reports are true, 4, 5, 6 billion, that's a big markup on your investment at the beginning. So, and fans are saying, listen, you're not wanted here by the majority of the fan base. You're getting a massive lump on your way out. shake our hands and ride off into the sunset. A lot of the fans will be wanting to happen. But if the guys are looking to stay here, I just think, I've always said this, if they communicated with the fan base much better, much more clearer, open and transparent, they might have a better reaction from the fans, or at least a bit of back and forth with the fans, just to humanise the situation, because they're so far removed from the fan base and the fans understanding or knowing where they are with things. And a lot of people say, well, why should they know? Why should the fans be told? The club is made up of fans. The fans make up a big part of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The club isn't worth 1 billion, let alone 5 billion, if the fans aren't there. If the people watching United week
if they don't buy the tickets, if they don't buy the merchandise, and they say the club ain't, what's the club worth? Like you're right.
Yeah. They said that as well after the process. The Liverpool game got postponed. They said, "Oh, we're going to start a dialogue."
Well, did they do one?
I think they did one Zoom call or whatever it was with the fans forum, not remotely.
I would urge them to speak to the fans, man. To just put a face to these words. You're seeing like statements maybe, or it's like it's so wishy-washy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Put a face to it, humanise it, and be that person at the forefront. All the biggest and best companies, a lot of the time, they're the best ones. Steve Jobs at Apple.
He's on the stage.
He's on the stage. Yeah. It's him. Do you know what I mean? Bezos, Amazon. These guys, you see them, they've humanised their role, and there's a person to point a finger at and go, that's where I'm going to go if I've got a problem or whatever. It's faceless at United, and that's not nice.
No, it's not. I think it's gone too far now as well. I think there's nothing. I don't think there's nothing they can do now to placate the fan base. Just moving on to transfers. Just ask you a quick question about transfers. Been links with a lot of big players: Osimhen, Kane, Bellingham. If there's a marquee signing this summer, is there one particular that you think United should be looking at?
I think at number 9.
Yeah.
I think like Bellingham's in the market. You'd think if someone like that's in the game, you've got to try and go and get him. I don't know if the FFP will be able to do it. Go and get both. I don't think so, unless you have a wholesale sale. But at number 9, if we get in 25 goals a season out of someone added to what Marcus is doing and what Martial might chip into, you know what I mean? Anthony's got double figures now. Do you know what I mean? And Sancho hits a bit of form. It changes a lot for this team. It changes the dynamic. Someone who can get us 20-25 league goals. Kane, Osimhen are the two guys who seem that they're ready-made in terms of a potential chance to get them. But they're two different types. They're two different profiles completely. Do you know what I mean? One's young, hungry, unproven in the Premier League, although he's doing it in the Champions League and in the Italian League and going to win the league. And you've got Kane, who I think if you sign Kane, you know you're getting 20-25 for 3 years.
Do you know that we hear it a lot about similar age, similar player that hadn't maybe won as much, and although Van Persie had won a bit more. But you hear about this Van Persie and Kane comparison of Kane coming in, doing that Van Persie thing of taking United to the next level, scoring those goals. You were obviously there in the squad when Van Persie signed. Do you see those comparisons? Do you think they're fair? Do you think do you think that he can have the same kind of impact?
Yeah. I just think it's different because you're coming into a team that are full of people that have won the Premier League, which is very different. But I still think you can have a huge impact. I think you see somebody like him. One, he's a great professional. He's a fantastic, proven Premier League striker. Scores a variation of goals, and he's always going to improve this team. Do you know what I mean? Because he's better than what you've got in a number 9 position. He is. Listen, I can't say it enough. I'd take him, man.
You're going all out for Kane.
We're talking the other week about Osimhen and Kane.
Osimhen's great. Don't get me wrong, but like,
Kane's proven, it's guaranteed.
Osimhen could come in and hit ground running, but also he might not.
That's what you were saying.
If he gets you 14 goals next season, that might not be enough.
But he might. This league might just. We've seen it with other players that have come from other leagues. Can't cut it here. I'm not saying he can't. I think he will.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at this point in time for Man United, we don't need guesswork.
No.
You need as sure hit as you can get, and Kane's that.
Just on that, in terms of, one of the criticisms you see of Kane is this sort of mentality thing, this kind of, he's not won trophies with England when they've got close, he's not won trophies with Tottenham when they've got close. How is that step coming from a club, obviously you came from Leeds, which is a big club, maybe even you could sort of comparable to Tottenham in kind of finishes at the time. But then you all of a sudden went from being a player that hadn't won much or hadn't won anything to being, later on spoken about as this sort of mentality monster that, when a new player comes in, you're the kind of player that's, seeing whether they've got what it takes. How do you go from I know you were younger, but a player that's not won a lot at a slightly smaller club, joining Manchester United, all the eyes, all the pressure, and then becoming a player that's used to winning trophies, that has this kind of air about them of Harry Kane. In 5 years, people might be saying, yeah, he's won it all. Whereas it could be,
I think
he's won nothing.
You need help.
Yeah, okay.
You need teammates. I was fortunate. I walked into a change room full of winners. Yeah. You got to remember, I walked into Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs.
That's enough, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like the Nevilles, Scholesy, Butty. These guys were just born winners. They just won everything. And then behind that, you've got like Fabien Barthez, who's your goalkeeper, World Cup winner. Yeah. Laurent Blanc sitting there as well. Do you know what I mean? So, and Veron, Ruud van Nistelrooy. These are all players, like big names, man. Characters above that even. So I was fortunate. I have to say I was lucky. It was a real privilege for me to do that and go into a change room like that. Much rather do that than go into what's there now. Yeah. Because in terms of just the element of the winning and the culture of winning, it's very different now. But there's too many similarities with Van Persie. Like he came in and he set a new level. Like he was unbelievable.
Did he shock you almost?
Yeah, I'd played against him so many times, and I weren't like, when we signed him, I wasn't like jumping, hitting, and like going bananas, going, wow, we have got, like the City players would have been going with Haaland. Yeah. Can't believe our luck, we've got him. I was like, oh, I hope he comes in and does all right. We'll see what he's about. Because I played against him, and it wasn't like he set the world alight. And then he turned up. Seriously, this guy, he was an unbelievable footballer. And I remember Paul Scholes. He'd done something against me in training, and Paul Scholes went to me, Rio, it's a different level, isn't it? He was unbelievable. Seriously, I loved him, and he was great for us. And I just see that Kane could be that.
And just last thing on the Kane thing. Do you think that will obviously pretty much everyone in this, well, everyone I suppose now, we've won the League Cup, but we've got players in this team who've won bigger trophies as well now. Varane, Casemiro, even Martinez, who's won a league. He's won it over 38 games in the Dutch league. Do you think that Kane could even lift the spirits of those sorts of players when they come in? I know he's not won stuff, but just saying, shit, we've got a striker here that could get us 35 goals this season.
That's what a striker does. A goal getter comes into your team, it gives you so much confidence. And you've got to remember as well, the pressure's on. No matter how many trophies Casemiro, Varane have won, or Martinez won the World Cup, winning it for Man United is different. There's a different pressure, because it's just, you haven't done it. You don't know how to do it in a Premier League. It's a different way of navigating a league-winning team in the Premier League compared to Spain. It's like if an English player went to Spain. Yeah. If you've won loads here, it's a different way of doing things. So they've still got to do it together. But I think if I'm Harry Kane, I'm sitting there going, I can be the one that turns this club's fortunes around. Imagine that. Yeah. At this size of a club like that. That has got to be, that's tantalising.
Because you can see, like you say, we get a number 9 like Kane. We're almost there now. You feel like we're not as far away as we were a couple of seasons ago. I just wanted to ask you finally about these comparisons. I know you've spoken about this with the whole Vidic and Van Dijk thing. What do you make of these comparisons? Did you ever think, like, why is it always Vidic and Van Dijk? What about me?
Because I'm not in the conversation. I'm above it.
You're above it.
You're looking down on me.
That's only for the mere mortals. I don't fight in them waters.
Yeah, fair enough.
No. Listen, I love the debates. I love debates about players and of different generations. It's great. But I said this to Virgil when I was with him. I'd done a piece of him for BT. Like, he will be judged. It's almost you can't judge him now against those other centre halves of the Premier League era, because those guys' body of work is 8-10 years. He's been like 3-4. So once his career finishes, then we'll see where he's at. He's going through a bit of a bad spell at the moment, but his quality is undeniable. What he is and what he meant to that Liverpool team when they were successful, he was one of the main guys in that team, and he's a top player. But Vidic, if you're going to say you judge it right now, Vidic is a mad player, monster. Yeah. No,
I agree. Rio, it's been great chatting to you.
Nice one, guys.
But so I don't forget as well, make sure you subscribe to Vibe with 5, because notification of Joe Bayer there shouting at me off screen there.
Yeah, man, come and join us on 5 with 5, man. We love it. But we love this show as well.
Yeah, so. Thank you. We always appreciate you coming on the channel and showing your support. That's been Rio Ferdinand. I've been Motty. That's been Joe Smith. This has been a big interview. Make sure you hit like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.